How do you decide that a really important project is done? It's a question that I've gotten a lot on the book I just wrote, The Running Ground. How did I decide that I finished? I spent 5 years working on it, but why not 6? Why not 4? When I was a reporter, I had a very simple sort of syllogism that I would use, which is once you start calling people and they're telling you things that you already know or things that you've told other people and figured out, once you're no longer getting new information, you're probably done. You've probably gotten as far as you can get. But when you're writing a memoir, the question of what's done is really a question about how good the prose is, how good the structure is. So how do you determine that? Well, I relied on kind of 3 different inputs. One, of course, my own feel. Did I feel like it was really there? Could I read it out loud and feel like I couldn't make this paragraph better or that I couldn't make this section better? Was there anything that still nagged at me? But that's not enough. I also, very importantly, had a couple of people who read the book multiple times. I have one friend who read the book, I think it was 6 times, 6 different drafts. I finished my first draft in August of 2023, and it was 2 years until I finished the book. And so I had this one friend who's an editor and a very dear friend and who liked the book, who read it kind of over and over at different stages during that 2-year period as I revised it. And he, at the very beginning said, you really need to fix a lot of stuff. And then by the end was like, okay, you only need to fix a small amount of stuff. But you can't rely just on that. Because you rely just on your editor or just on a friend who reads it lots of times, you have this problem whereby you'll solve all the things that they see. Or you'll exhaust them, and they'll eventually say this is good enough. And that's not where you want to be. So I would also do this other thing, where every couple months, I would send the new version of the book to a different friend. And I'm blessed, having worked in journalism, a lot of my friends are good editors. And they would respond. And in the beginning, they would say, okay, there are all these big problems, fix these big problems, or here's this big thing you need to fix, or here are 7 things you need to fix. By the end, they had very little that they wanted to fix, right? Or they would suggest things that I had already thought about, like, please do this in a different way that I'd already kind of considered and rejected. And when I got there, I figured I was close to done. So I had 3 things that were going on. I had my own internal sense that this is done and this is good. I had my external friends who had just read it, this is good, this is done. And I had friends who'd read it many, many times. Remember, there's this wonderful framework that Adam Grant has. With every task, you decide, like, do you want to do 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10? There aren't that many tasks that you really have to do 10 out of 10. If you're writing a book, it's a memoir, you really should feel it's about 10 out of 10. So eventually, I finished, right? I got to the point where I felt like I couldn't make it any better. I'm sure it could be better in more capable hands with better writer. I'll say one last thing. When I was working on this book, I kept a file of things I thought about when running, like sentences I wanted to add, thoughts you want to add. You don't want to add too many because it can get disjointed. I cared so much about structure. But the last sentence I added, I was in Paris this past summer, and I went to the Rodin sculpture garden. And I remember looking at the Rodins, and I was with my son. And the Rodins, they're so strong, but they're so haggard and worn and drawn down. And I was like, that's what marathon runners look like at the end of the race. They're so strong, lean, muscular, sinewy, but they're exhausted. And so I wanted to reopen the project and add that last sentence, and I did. That was the last sentence I added to the book. And I just got an email from someone saying, hey, that's my favorite sentence in the book. I love the line about Rodin statues. So it was a good reminder that, yeah, you finish things, they're done, but then maybe you can just add one little tiny bit of salt. All right, that's it. See you later.